Hello, and thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Absolutely Bookkeeping podcast. This is one of our specials, though. So today I would like to introduce you to Amy. So, Amy, can you introduce yourself to all of our listeners today and explain who you are and what you do? A lot of people will know, but for those who don't, let's enlighten them a little.
Hello, hi Natasha. So I'm Ami Copeland and I am the Chief Executive of ICB, the Institute of Certified Bookkeepers. So we are currently the only professional body in the UK that specialises in bookkeepers. So we're not also looking after accountants. We're not predominantly accountants. We are all about bookkeepers. That said, we do think bookkeepers have the skills, the know-how, the relationship skills to offer a full range of services. So bookkeepers want to do management accounts and tax and things like that. Of course they should. And so we really are, fully behind bookkeepers. We love to empower bookkeepers, and we hope very much with the sort of professional body that bookkeepers trust to promote them, connect them, support them, and be their voice in the industry. So I'm the chief executive there, which is a really fun job. I kind of work my way up, and it's the best thing at ICB I've done so far, I'd say. Probably my favorite job ever.
Okay, cool. How did your journey actually begin in our industry? What made you become part of the ICB and now actually be the powerhouse behind the whole thing?
Oh, that's very nice. The powerhouse. Okay, definitely I'm quoting you on that in the future. Well, I don't think it wasn't a straight line.
Okay.
Because I actually left school and wanted to get into film. First of all, I wanted to write films. So I did, I went to LA and went to film school and did a screenwriting course. Mm-hmm. And as part of that, got in with all the kids who are actually directing movies. And LA is a great place to learn how to do that, because we were on the Universal backlot and we could film movies in New York and France. And the DeLorean was there, so you could sit in the DeLorean and film around it. And moved back to England and carried on working in film. But it's a really competitive industry and it's quite difficult to get paid well. And eventually I just needed more money to support me. And then got into presenting. I was a presenter for a little bit. I shot documentaries, shot loads of sort of films about bands, went on tour with bands. And then at the grand old age of about 30, started working full-time at ICB. The reason I picked ICB is because there's a family link. My parents set it up in 1996 when I was, how old was I, 11? Yeah. Was I 11? I don't know. I don't want to give too much away about my age, but so in a way I've been sort of, ICB has been in my life for a really long time. And I think about the time that I had my kids, I really just got it, because the majority of members at ICB are women, 78% women. And actually, most of them are in their sort of 40s. That's our kind of average age is around 42. And a lot of people, men or women or whatever, choose bookkeeping as something to do later in life. We're a sort of a body of career changes, really, which there's just something so incredible about that. Sort of everyone's got a different story. Everyone's coming from a different background. And I think I was just like, I really sort of got the message. And, that said, though, I think my very first job was when I was sort of 11. Like every school holiday, I would come home and my parents would put me to work. So my job for a long time was looking after the mailing machine. So when we printed certificates, I would be there at the mailing machine, making sure that all the labels went on like perfectly straight and didn't get jammed in the machine, because my parents, sort of just said that it's really, we're not just printing pieces of paper. These are people's careers, this is people's dreams that we're supporting here. So they really kind of push that, the message about the importance of everything we do and how we treat our members and things like that. So I started doing marketing at ICB because that was sort of branding and kind of visual, visual kind of production and events and things like that. That was sort of, that was my wheelhouse in those days. And then I just really I'm very committed to what bookkeepers can do. I think bookkeepers have the power to completely transform the businesses they work with, whether they're employed or whether they're running their own business, and they've got a range of different clients that they support. And bookkeepers have just a tremendous amount of power, and they house it in this very approachable, accessible way. And the number of bookkeepers I speak to say, my clients call me in tears when they've spoken to their accountant or some other professional that they're working with. And the bookkeepers, they're supporting them because bookkeepers really care. And bookkeepers have got this incredible power to explain accounts in a meaningful way for businesses. So I just think bookkeepers are absolutely incredible. So being able to support them in my role now as CEO is, a real privilege.
What is the one word you would describe your relationship with technology in your life and business at the moment?
My relationship with technology. I'm probably closer to tech than any other member of my family, probably at this point. I don't know. I'm definitely a tech optimist.
Yeah.
And I think I'm probably an optimist generally in my life, which is why I really appreciate working with ICB's FD, who is a very positive chap, but he always works from worst case scenarios, so we're quite a good balance.
Yeah.
But I use tech constantly. I'm also married to somebody who's kind of taught himself how to code, and speaks about AI a lot as well on stages. So it's everywhere in my life, I would say, technology. And obviously, I've probably got sort of, I haven't really sat down and kind of counted how many apps I've got, probably.
Oh, we might get to that later. So let's get into it. So what is the one app that has genuinely improved your life? So we are now kind of looking at a generalization. So usually we would ask bookkeepers what has really sort of made their business what it is, but we're looking general terms. What is the app that has actually improved your life?
Well, Natasha, I love a little app called CherryPick. Okay. And I use that very regularly. So it is a meal planning and grocery buying app, and it connects with various supermarkets. I use it to connect with Sainsbury's, and it has it's revolutionized my sort of family meal cooking experience. So that I think I was always getting that sort of existential crisis at the beginning of every week and just thinking, what do we like eating? What are we going to do? How are we going to cook? And really overnight, it made it possible to always buy the required amount of food. So I'm not overbuying anymore. So that saves me a ton of money. And I just feel so organized, and I cook fresh for my kids every single day. So I feel, I feel good about myself. I know that when they eat it, that they're getting good nutrition. And it's just been, it's been an absolute game changer. And I talk about it all the time. I went to their launch party a couple of years ago. It was near our office at the time in London Bridge. And, consider myself like an early adopter. But I talk about it all the time and recommend it to everybody.
So how did you stumble across it? Was it something that was it word of mouth, or did you actually find it when you were trying to solve a problem of, like you say, you like to make sure that you have fresh cooked meals and that all the ingredients are there for the recipes that you want to cook? Did you stumble across it, or was it just like a search the apps for the right one?
A really good question. I think it was because I became a little bit sort of disillusioned with those meal kit boxes. Yeah. Because the thing I don't like about them is you've got all these little plastic packets of things, and you'd get little plastic packets of like balsamic vinegar and olive oil and these things that you obviously have at home, and that just sort of began to feel quite wasteful. And you sort of quite quickly get into these sort of, repeating the same old meals. And so I didn't like those. And when you get those veg boxes, you always just get tons of onions and potatoes. Yeah. And personally, I like to save time. So I always have ready chopped onions in my freezer. Yeah. So I wasn't into that. And I know you can sort of specify, get things kind of excluded, but you're always just sat there sort of thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do with this weird turnip or something like that? So I think I was just, trying to find a solution and came across it. It used to be called Lollipop when it first launched. And then they decided that didn't have the sort of nutritional kind of health vibes that they wanted. So they changed it to CherryPick.
Would you say that Would it solve you? Would you say that it solved problems for you, like time management? Because obviously you're actually saving time if you've got everything in one place, or even has it sort of reduced your stress level?
Oh yeah, a
Yeah.
100%. So again, like I said, that sort of existential crisis where you're just thinking, I just don't know what to cook, and you've got stuff left in the fridge that you don't know what to do with, or you're missing things that you don't have. So the great thing about the app is you can go through. So what I do on a Saturday or a Sunday,
Yeah.
I'll go through and I'll plan my meals. And so
Yeah.
you can see all these different recipes, and you can search for things that are, for me, I like stuff that takes less than 30 minutes to cook,
Yeah.
and like family friendly foods, but you can also look for veggie stuff, vegan stuff, affordable stuff.
Yeah.
And so there's all these different categories, and then you look at it shows you all the food that you need for it. And what you can do is tick and untick what you do and don't want.
Yeah.
And it will say things like, you ordered this 4 months ago, or you ordered this 4 weeks ago, or you probably already have this. So that's incredibly helpful because it's got all the data, because you're doing all your shopping through it. So you can select what you want. It tells you how much it will cost per person. So if it's really pricey, you can swap some of the options and say, well, I don't want that. That costs too much money. It tells you what the nutritional value is. And then, there's reviews and stuff, so you can leave reviews. So it makes it really easy to feed your family on a budget. And so you go through and you plan your whole week of food, and usually I'll go for a full 7 meals probably, if I'm feeling fancy. And then you can add in all of your standard groceries, like your shampoo or your detergents and stuff like that. And they also have AI enabled lists and stuff, which I don't find that useful personally. And one of the things it also does is count how many plants you're eating in a week. So they somebody somewhere had come up with this idea that we should all be eating 30 servings of fruits and vegetables, and that includes like spices as well. And so, I was finding easily we were exceeding this sort of goal of 30 bits of fruit and veg. So I feel good about what we're doing as well. And so definitely saving me money, saving me food waste. And how great is it when the recipe says 350 grams of chicken or whatever, and you've got exactly 350 grams of chicken. So you've got exactly the right amount for all the recipes. And it's just so much easier to be organized. And so I'm just like, right, it's 6:30, I'm going to cook this.
Yeah.
And that's just another weight off your mind, because when you're running a business, you've got kids, like, I don't need to tell anybody. That's enough. I mean, I would say it's practically impossible to juggle everything. And so I don't think I could get by anymore without my CherryPick app.
If it suddenly disappeared tomorrow, would your life fall apart? I can see by the shock horror then that possibly yes.
I think it absolutely would. Yeah, it absolutely would, because it links also. So you put everything in your basket.
Yeah.
And then I just buy it through Sainsbury's. So I literally click one button and I bought it through Sainsbury's. If you're an ICB member, you also get at least 5% off Sainsbury's. So that's a little bit of a pain. You then have to go in onto the Sainsbury's website and put in your voucher code or whatever. But that's worth it as well. Yeah. So that's the only thing that it could do to improve. But it's so quick and easy. And it'll send me a text message, and it'll say, do you want to reserve a slot with Sainsbury's? Because you're usually having a slot on a Monday or Tuesday. So that's really useful too. And by the way, I get everything delivered. So I always do online shopping.
Yeah.
But if you think about the olden days, that was like a family trip out, wasn't it? Going to the supermarket for like 2 hours at the weekend, and then you've got all that stuff to haul around. God, the idea of it, I can't even imagine. And so this is, it takes me sort of 10 minutes and I've done my whole week shop, and then I know every single day what I'm going to cook. I couldn't live without it.
If you had a magic wand and you could change just one thing about it, is there something that you would change, or are you happy as the app is now?
I think it's just that I'd like to be able to get my IC benefits discount automatically. Yeah. That would be great, because that saves, if I'm buying groceries every week, so that saves a significant amount of money.
Yeah.
And so that would save me time to make that more automated. I can't think what else I would, I'd change, actually. I love it.
Okay. Beside this app, What is your other 3 top apps that you would use? So it could be personal or it could be business, but what is your other 3 top go-to apps that you wouldn't live without?
Wow. I'm trying to think of something I'm going to say instead of this one, but I mean, it is the main one at the moment is ChatGPT,
Yeah.
which is just invaluable.
Yeah.
I use it all the time. And I think it's just fantastic. And particularly, I use it for everything from, right, let's plan ahead. What should I be thinking about? How should I approach this?
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of how I don't usually use the output verbatim.
Yeah.
I don't really use it for that, but it's more like, how should I approach this? What are the things I should be thinking about? So sort of sense checking, stuff like that, and planning. But my kids use it as well. My kids write stories with it.
Oh.
And, like with, like animated, illustrated pictures. So that's kind of interesting. Like even in sort of another kind of personal thing, we'll use it in the summer holidays and say, hey, draft us a little daily schedule so we keep on track. And I think you really become, the more you use it, the better it becomes for you, because you learn how to use it properly. You're not just putting in kind of gobbledygook. You can be really specific about it. So I love ChatGPT. I love it for work. I love it for play. We love Teams at ICB, so we would just be lost without Teams. So as soon as COVID struck, we started using Teams properly as a business, and that's just fantastic. I think as soon as you get your team away from emailing each other, you're just speeding up that communication really well. So Teams is just fantastic, and we had training on that yesterday as well, just to sort of teach us some things we probably haven't realized. But again, for us, one of the really useful things about Teams is the ability to automatically record meetings and then have the transcript, so you can check that recap. And that's just amazing as well. And do you know what? We love Canva as well. I think it's such good value. It's still £10 a month.
It is. Yeah, it is.
I mean, that's just enormous value, and it does so much.
It does.
And you don't need an in-house design team. And there's certainly things that you have, we would always go to a designer for. But all of us are just posting so much content these days. That it's incredibly useful and just crazy value. And I've spent so many years of my life struggling with Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator, and I never really, and you do, I think, really need to have training on that. And actually, I think now there's an Adobe training module that is really cool, and you can do sort of you can train on your own artwork and stuff, and you can train on sort of demo artwork, which is great. But back in the day, we didn't really have that, and I just always found, I mean, I really have had so dark hours trying to use some of that Adobe tech. And Canva, anybody can just pick that up and use it just instantly. So I think that's an incredible bit of software. Female CEO, very inspiring woman. So yeah, I really love Canva. And that's my 3, isn't it?
It is, How often do you do a digital cleanup? So actually go through all your old apps and remove any that you don't use, or refresh the ones you got and have a fresh start? Because obviously, I think the other week I did a digital detox, and I was amazed by how many silly apps I had on my iPad or my phone and things like that. I even removed my iWatch because the digital detox was sending me anxious, because every time it pinged, it was another thing. So how much have you spent, or do you ever do a digital cleanup?
It's just not my kind of thing, I'm afraid. No, I'm possibly to a certain extent a bit of a maximalist. So because I love technology, and I love everything from, but I love button placement and all of that sort of UX design. I'm obsessed with that kind of stuff. So, I just sign up for everything. I download everything. I still love marketing. I love how people present ideas. So I'm just like, just give it to me. I sign up to everything. And actually at the moment, there's a bit of a sort of joke at ICB where my desktop is just like a total mess. And I sort of now use it just to scare people, because certain people just look at my desktop and they're just like, they break out in hives. So I'm not very good at keeping things clean and tidy. But then again, I think I'm okay. Maybe I do need to get somebody to help me with that. I suppose I don't use them all regularly, but I do like to have a play with pretty much anything that comes along.
Perfect. Have you ever had an app disaster when things have gone wrong with either tech or apps that have gone wrong, and you've had to dig yourself out of a hole that the app or you have caused with the app?
I've got to say, touch wood, no, not actually with an app, but ICB has been going through a digital transformation for what seems like a lifetime, and that has gone completely wrong at times. And so that has actually been a bit of a nightmare. But again, I think part of the way we've approached it is with the right sort of level of care and due diligence, because you have to be really, really careful these days. I mean, I think we take cybersecurity massively seriously, as should everybody, because there are, I don't like to, to worry about these things too much, but I mean, there are, there's whole businesses set up just to hack people and just to scam people online. So I think that kind of stuff is one of those things that always rests really heavy, particularly on an organization like ICB. We've got members all around the world. We've got people taking exams online all day, every day. We've got people taking exams at like 3 a.m, people taking exams on Christmas Day. And that kind of thing all has to be super robust. Like there's a very, very intense level of control and security you've got to have around that. So I would say the digital transformation as a whole, continues to be ridiculously agonizing, but also terribly inspiring at the same time. So none of this stuff really should be taken lightly these days when you're dealing with, your work or your client's data or anything like that. So, but luckily, no, I don't think in sort of my app ecosystem, I think we've been okay, luckily so far.
I want to ask you a question that I ask everybody who comes on my podcast is, what is the one key piece of advice that you give to bookkeepers out there who feel really overwhelmed with all the software and app choices out there at the moment? We see that the exhibitions we go to, like Accountex, the summits, are growing and growing each year with all these new software and app suppliers. But it is overwhelming. What is your key piece of advice for them?
Ignore it.
Okay.
Just ignore it as much as you can, because I think, we so often get distracted by the next shiny thing.
Yeah.
And certainly sort of leading an organization, one has to be really careful to just keep the blinkers on and remember what is the long-term strategy and how can I support that in terms of the sort of short-term solutions. And, so often that big shiny thing, I mean, I always say most apps are actually just Excel. Are they sort of based on Excel? You can do 9 out of 10 things with Excel. And there's loads of sort of cool Excel influencers who can explain to you how to actually make your Excel spreadsheets and your reporting look exactly the same, if not better, than some of these kind of whizzy platforms that are set up really just to mimic Excel and make it look a little bit snazzier. So definitely, your gut usually is right on these things. So if you're feeling overwhelmed and you've got analysis paralysis, just go back to what you're actually trying to achieve. Is there a problem, and how is it best to solve it? Because I think actually a lot of the time when you're in practice, we spend so much time thinking about the tools and the process, when really maybe we should be thinking about, the problems we're trying to solve for the people we support. Like, what do our clients actually want, and where can we offer value to them? They don't care what your back-end processes or what they probably don't care about your client portal, or even things that they can see. They just want you to do the work well, don't they? So if it's your relationships, it's probably your pricing. Those are the things that actually probably are going to cause you more of a headache. And don't believe the hype. You really can't solve problems with tech. You've got to, like, usually there's a people problem, I think, and that's probably where you should spend your focus your time.
That's brilliant. Now, going around to the final part of the interview now is the quick fire round. So iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Planner app or Post-it notes?
Oh, planner app.
Okay.
Both, really.
Okay. Pomodoro, meditation, or a power nap to help with productivity?
Oh gosh, if you can do all three, you're winning. I mean,
Yeah.
I've never been able to have a power nap because I just, my body's like, let's do this. Let's stay
Yeah.
asleep for 8 hours. Love the Pomodoro technique. That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What is one personal productivity hack that really has stuck with you over the years?
I think it's it's giving yourself, and if you can meditate, all the better, but giving yourself the time first thing in the morning to plan out your day, and really sort of, I try to look at, the big sort of maybe three or four things I'm trying to achieve this week, and sort of think about the week like that, and just chunk it down. And and just because I think it's really quite important to stay true to yourself, particularly if you've downloaded 45 apps over 48 hours, like I tend to. And if you're working with a team as well, or you've got multiple clients that you're working with, you've got to protect your own time, and look after yourself. And for me, the only way I can do that is by giving myself a bit of peace and quiet first thing in the morning, and writing it down and thinking, where am I actually going this week, and how am I going to achieve it? Because otherwise it's just like a million things firing at you at once. And there's always a fire to fight.
And my final question for you today is, what underrated app is out there that you think deserves a little bit more love from everybody?
And I shouldn't say CherryPick, which everyone should definitely download. Underrated app. It's tricky because I'd like to say the likes of sort of Excel and ChatGPT, because I really do think you can, the world's your oyster. I really feel so empowered by both of those apps, probably more so by ChatGPT than Excel, but you can use them together now, can't you? So
you can,
what isn't possible these days?
Exactly. It's basically open your eyes and open the doors basically to all the possibilities.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's brilliant. So thank you very much for that. I've really loved about that. I'm off now to go and download that app. So ready so I can do it. Yeah. And thank you very much for being a great person on here today. And thank you once again, everybody.
Amazing. Thanks for having me, Natasha.
Thank you.